How much fun will tomorrow night be, home opener?
I mean, I guess it's probably a better question for the players. I always enjoy home openers for sure. And this is number 16 for me. So I always walk out the first time, kind of, excited to be back, with just the vibe in the arena and with our fans. And it's not lost on me, the importance, the role that they've played in our success. And so that's my first time and that I always kind of like pause. I generally don't look up and out, but that's one time that I actually do. I think our players obviously been on the road for a couple games. They'll be excited to be home for a few. Home openers always really exciting. Hopefully we play well.
Does it feel like 16?
It doesn't. The time has flown. It has absolutely flown. And, whether it's 25 in the league or 26, whatever it is, or 16, a lot of things feel like just yesterday. I guess that's a sign of being old, right? That's what they say.
We were talking after the game the other day about the impact that Bridget had on the game.
Yeah.
That people just wouldn't see if they looked at the box score and
That's
said,
right.
8 points,
Yep.
this, that. Just the pivotal role, diving to the floor for loose balls, defending.
Timely passes.
Yeah, defending, I think, Jackson quite a lot, right?
Yeah.
She was saying here earlier that she was a big scorer in college, and defense wasn't really something she gave a lot of thought to.
Uh-huh.
When you saw that she was available and brought her in to take a look at her, did you see that potential, or what were you think you were getting when you brought her here?
A good basketball player. I think coming from Bill Finley's system at Iowa State, she was a small forward. A small power forward. So a little undersized, playing the four, shooting big. Was she going to be probably a 3 in our league? Yeah. Was she going to have the foot speed to be able to do it? Those were question marks. That's why she was in the second round. The first day, I remember, we put her in at the end of a game, and she'd only been with us for a little bit, and she did something really basic. She did bounce, help came, and she, nice little on time, on target pass. And it was striking, because those are the things that's hard to find.
Right.
You would think that everyone does it. No, they don't. And so when you play with BC, the things that should be simple are simple to her. And we rely heavily for her to be the heady player, the one that's going to, when we make a mistake, we made a mistake in the Chicago game, in the preseason game, and they were running an out of bounds play to try to score, and the big screwed up the coverage. And BC was there for them to get a steal at the end of the game, right? That's BC. That's
right.
in a nutshell. That's BC.
How much physically has she transformed herself to be able to compete at this level since you first got her?
Yeah, agility, quickness. I think using her physical abilities. She's a well-conditioned athlete. She's always been that. She's always been really committed in that space. But I think her understanding of angles and how to use her physical ability and her size and her strength to attack the basket. Her and Katie Smith worked tirelessly on that last year. So her confidence overall and her physical abilities, I think, is really what's grown.
My last question on her is, when you think of what you were going to take a look at back in 2019 to now, what is the biggest surprise to you in what she's done?
I can't say that it's surprising. We've kind of seen this in her. I don't know that it's surprising. I think her getting to the space that she's gotten to, as you know, for a few years we've been, her belief in herself had to go to another level. Yeah.
She's pretty versatile defensively too, in terms of what she 2 through 4, right?
We put her on the 1, put her on the 4. Like if you had to have her on the 5, she knows exactly what to do. She'll do it better than the bigs. About as versatile as you get.
About BC too, when she was coming off the bench, she was the organizer of everyone and making sure everything was executed how it needed to. How does she still kind of have that mindset when she's in that starting lineup? Does she still provide that kind of similar important presence?
Yeah. She tries to figure out, you got a point guard like Courtney, who oftentimes you don't know what the heck she's going to do, right? She provides us the, hey, this is what we, are supposed to be doing. And Courtney will say less. Got it. Right, so that's BC. She's our voice of reason for sure.
How impressed have you been with Courtney's ability to just not turn the ball over this year? Last season, it seemed like she was kind of a little shaky at the beginning
Yeah.
of the year. And this year, it's, 18 to
19.
19 to nothing turnover ratio?
Yeah. Let's see here. Courtney had her share of turnovers in training camp that I'm not surprised that maybe she got it all out of her system, because she probably had 19 turnovers and 0 assists in training camp. And if you were around in training camp and you saw that, that's not an exaggeration. So happy to see that Courtney's been able to clean that up and be a great point guard.
Last one for me is just, Fee last year, a couple times you went for her at the small forward.
Yeah.
This year, when you have like Shep and Lan, is that something that's a little more unlocked, is going with that kind of extra big lineup?
Yeah, we did that in the last game. We did that for a little bit, and we like the option, to do that. And obviously Jess's play as wants us to, make sure that we're, not having her on the sideline too much. It'll dictate in terms of like matchups, et cetera. But we see a world where, we could play that way for sure.
Coach, on the topic of home opener number 16 for you,
Mhm.
both games this past weekend was home opener number
Yeah.
1 for the coach on the
Yeah.
other bench.
Yeah.
Do you get it? Does the game day, schedule allow for you to like just have a moment in passing with like the other coach and sort of talk about that? And
Not at all. I don't want to see them. I don't want to see them. No, I'm sure they don't want to see me either. But no, I talked with Eric. Just kind of he's like, I know how they're feeling over there right now. He's like, because 2 years ago that was me, and I know how I felt. Right? I don't even think about that. I'm just thinking about how they prepared for us and want to beat us. So, but yeah, I recognize there's a lot of coaches that were going through the first time home opener.
When you looked at the Dallas tape against you guys in their second game the other night,
Uh-huh.
did you see progress in terms of their gelling as a unit?
Yeah, I thought they played well. Seattle played better too, right? Because they come off of a tough opener down in Phoenix, and so it was exactly what we thought it would be. Having seen both teams and how hungry, and so that a team that didn't win 2 home games coming in here, as we know, Paige coming home. We fully expect a pretty motivated team, and we've got to make sure that we're understanding that, and that it's about us, what we can control. And if we do that, we come correct, then we'll be hard to play against.
How good a story, Cheryl, is Diamond, just of perseverance.
Diamond story?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And patience. Sometimes young players can get caught up in the wrong things, and that wrong thing sometimes is playing time. And she's been incredibly mature. When you look at, we probably didn't set her up for success in 2022, and just starting her, we made a decision that we were going to choose our culture, and Diamond was going to be a part of our culture. And so we started her at the small forward, and we let her play through a bunch of mistakes. And then in the off season, and when we knew that we were going to be going out and improving our team, I specifically said in the off season, this is going to be hard for Diamond, because the life that she knew as a rookie is going to be different when she comes back. Combine that with 6 months off because she had surgery. She comes back to a completely different team. And the things that were accepted a year ago were no longer accepted. And so we had many conversations. And she got hurt again during the season. And so very mature, every conversation with her. She's got a great support system, her family, her parents. I think they keep her grounded and focused on the right things. And I see a very determined, focused player that very much understands what she needs to do to be successful for this team. And that could really, provide to be helpful to our team.
I don't want to put you on the spot at all, but just curious if
But
you
I'm
might.
going to.
I mean, I absolutely will. But just curious what you might remember from your first home opener as a first-year head coach in this league, and just all the things that have changed, but also the things that might, still be the same.
Yeah. The only thing I can tell you is I remember every once in a while, and I haven't done this in a while, I don't want to take it for granted, but every once in a while I go back and look at the crowd. It was a lot more space to sit, back then. I remember that. I remember, just wanting to change that. I remember that was a thing that, I also remember a fan yelling at me, because you could hear everything when there was nobody in the gym. I was brought on to improve the defense, and maybe they didn't agree. The defense wasn't going great. So, but after that first championship, I asked how our defense was now. But no, but I don't have a I don't even know who we played. I don't have a recollection. I really don't. I probably should, but again, just trying to win the game is what I remember.
Any update on Kayla?
No.
Dallas had a lot of roster turnover in the offseason. Just what are some things you learned about them from that first matchup?
They've got really good players that need to play together. I think that's the thing. And the more that they keep at it, and the players are playing together, and Chris, the coach, is figuring out rotations and identity and that sort of thing. They're all good players. We had one of them here in Maisha, I think they're trying to do, I think, what they're asked to do, and I think it's a good team. And I think our league is different now with 44 games versus when we had 34, or even 32. Because when you have a tough start, it's hard to recover from. Now that we get more games, we're not quite like baseball, where they play, what are they up to, 400 games now? That you have a little bit more of a runway to kind of manage tough times. But so it's a little bit different, that they can, Eric's team, the first 12 games, where they, and they were in position to make the playoffs. And so I think, players and teams understanding that are new that, you just got to, stick with it, and they've got good players.
How much buzz do you sense just your opener tomorrow, home opener, and the Wolves tonight and Thursday? Just a fun basketball weekend.
Absolutely. I'm super excited for tonight. Really excited. It's been a lull these last few days not having that, so it's exciting. And then obviously then our game, and then so just a tremendous time in the cities. I think people coming from all over the state, right, to come watch or be at the watch parties and things like that. It's just such a tremendous time of the year. In the NBA and for the Wolves to be doing what they're doing, I think it's incredibly exciting for the community, and then hopefully gives us momentum, and we can try to do the same thing.